Last night I forgot the program, I didn't have a clock, so I went on a bit long. So tonight, I'm going to try and give a talk 45 minutes, maybe 40 minutes on karma, and then open up for questions. So those of you who have been here since 6 a.m. and you're hungry, you've got to go home, you go home 8 o'clock if you want to, and other people could stay a bit longer if they want to. So, talk on karma. So first of all, people have some weird ideas about karma, and they criticize Buddhism, say, don't ban karma, you get reborn as a cockroach. That's ridiculous. Because I was saying a lot about karma and rebirth, which is people are really interested in. How can you get reborn into a certain realm? How can you get reborn as a cockroach or go into the lower realms? And I'll talk about that. But I'll also talk about the idea of karma. It's not fatalistic. Think, oh my goodness, I've done something wrong. I've broken my leg. Therefore I have to not call the ambulance. If I call the ambulance and get my leg fixed, I'm interfering with the law of karma. Now obviously it's ridiculous. So first of all, karma is like a natural justice, but not a justice which tries to punish people, but which tries to help people learn from their mistakes. For example, if you are stingy and you don't like helping poor people or sick people, then maybe the best lesson for you to learn about the importance of generosity is to be poor yourself. And if you know what it's like to be hungry, if you really have gone without food, then you will never pass by someone who is hungry. You will always make sure they have something to eat, but you know what it feels like yourself. So sometimes that we have these unfortunate experiences in life, not as punishment, but so that we can learn what it's like, to be poor, what it's like to be rejected, what it's like to be physically deformed. Maybe we were born without a leg, or we were born, say, with Down syndrome, or we're born not the same as everybody else. So we have to learn what it's like. So in our next life, we'll always be kind and caring to people, because we know why we should be kind and caring. So number one, karma is not punishment. It's sometimes we have to learn. And anyway, the karma is twofold. What I call karma from the past, and karma which is what you're doing now for your future. And making that distinction between past karma and present karma is really important. And that gives a great beauty and opportunity when you understand how karma works. So karma is what gives you the ingredients which you work with now. And there simply is two people baking a cake. And the first person baking a cake has got really bad ingredients. They've got white flour, which is old flour, so it's gone moldy. They have to pick out the green moldy bits from the flour so they can use the rest. And they have got cholesterol-enriched butter. And they have got diabetically enhanced sugar. And they have got old fruit, which is so old it's rock hard. And they have an ancient kitchen, which was from the First World War, to be able to cook in. They've got the worst possible ingredients. The other person has got the best ingredients. They've got organically grown whole wheat flour, grown in a field 1,000 miles from the nearest GM crops. They have beautiful honey from Western Australia, delicious fruit from the Klang Valley. And what else have they got there? Fruit and honey, and canola oil, which is supposed to be cholesterol free. So to cook it or sunflower oil. So they've got the most modern kitchen available from the best kitchen shop in KL. They've got the best possible ingredients, and the other person's got the worst ingredients. And the question is, who bakes the most delicious cake? It's not always the person with the best ingredients, because the quality of the cake is not just dependent upon the ingredients. Even more important is how you put those ingredients together. The love, the care, the skill in which you cook your cake. And often it happens that people with the worst ingredient bake the best cake. I've told that story many times. And even I was flying from one place to another, and there was a competition done in Singapore with one of the celebrity chefs who go on TV, and with the street walkers who sell food in the cheap places in Singapore. And they wanted to compare who cooks the most delicious food. So they got one of these TV chefs who earns millions of dollars, and these poor people who sell food by the side of the street, they had to cook the same dish, and they used ordinary passers-by to judge which dish was most delicious. You know who won? The street walkers. And you know, if you go in KL, or especially in Penang, you go into a 5-star restaurant in Penang, you go on the side of the street, where do you get the best food? Side of the street, yeah. Even though they haven't got the best ingredients, even though they cook in a wok, by the side of the road, they have to put so much care, so much love, so much skill, because the competition is so strong. To survive, they have to really put that extra effort in, which is why, with the worst ingredients, they make the best food. The ingredients from the past, so the ingredients you have to work with, that stands for the karma from the past. You're beautiful, you're intelligent, you're healthy, you're fit and strong. That's all your karma from the past. But what's most important is what you do with that karma. And if you are making a good life, it's more important the karma you make now, what you do with what you've got, than the karma you're born with. Examples. You take someone like, I know I just read about him a long time ago, Paris Hilton, an heiress, more money than she can use. A beautiful girl. And what does she do with her ingredients, with her beauty, with her wealth? Become a drug addict, become a drunkard, and go to prison. That's someone with really good ingredients, but she doesn't know how to use them. Past karma is great, but the present karma, what she does with what she has, is hopeless. Compare that to a Nelson Mandela, put in prison for 26 years. That's pretty bad karma. But what he did with that bad experience, he made a beautiful person, wise, compassionate, out of that experience. There are some people who are born disabled. You get someone like Stephen Hawking, the great physicist. But what he does with what he has, he's got a brilliant mind. So, what you have to deal with in life is old karma. How you deal with it is the karma of the present. And of those two, the karma of the present is the most important. So you have some past karma from the past. Some bad karma from the past, sorry. Someone dies in your family. You lose your job. You have an accident. You get cancer. That may be because of the past. But the most important thing, what are you doing now with what you've got? And that's the most important part of karma. It does not matter what ingredients you have to work with. You can make the most beautiful cake, the most delicious life in the world, if You've made good karma now with the old ingredients and the bad ingredients you've got. It's amazing what you can do. Which is why I tell a story, very simple story, of walking back home after the Dharma talk. And you tread in the dog poo, the excrement from the dog. You get it all over your shoes. That's bad karma from the past. Well, what do you do with the dog excrement? If you are wise, you take it home with you. You don't scrape it off your shoes, yet. You take it home and you scrape it off under the mango tree in your garden. As if you scrape it off under the mango tree, 1 year later, your mangoes will be sweeter and juicier than ever before. And when you bite into the juicy, succulent, sweet mango, 1 year later, you must always remember what you are really eating. You are eating dog excrement, which has been transformed because of your good karma. What you did with what you had, it's been transformed into juicy, sweet mango. Now that is a very wonderful example of how the karma which you have to deal with is not as important as how you make use of it in your life. So you may get cancer, you may lose your job, you may have a stroke, you may have an accident, all the terrible things which happen in life. Yeah, a lot of it is because of old karma. But don't get negative, don't get depressed, don't get angry. What are you doing with what you've got? Because you can always make mangoes out of dog poo, out of dog excrement. One of my disciples in Jakarta, he was sacked from his job. Now some of you think you have a boss from hell. You do not know what boss from hell are really like. This boss called him into the office and he got a revolver out, a gun pointed into this man's head. Resign or I'll shoot you. That is what we call a boss from hell. It happened. He had to resign at the point of a gun. Bad karma from the past. So what did he do with that? Instead of getting depressed, upset, angry, he was actually depressed for a week. And he thought, what can I do with this? He lost his job, he had a wife and 2 young kids. What can he do with this? And he realized he had so much experience in this particular industry. He'd made so many contacts and so many friends. He decided to start his own business in competition with his boss, who sacked him. Now he's now a multi-millionaire. He made use of that bad luck, that bad experience, and turned it into a man who's got lots and lots of money, he keeps making lots of good karma. That is how we make use of karma. So whatever happens, you don't complain. Oh, poor me, I've done something bad in the past, I've lost my job, I can't get another job, my husband has run away with his secretary, my kids are just getting drugs, I must have done some bad karma in the past. Yeah, quite likely. But what are you doing about it now? The karma of the present is most important. But when we say, why did it happen to me? Probably is some karma from the past. But you know, sometimes we think life is unfair. Why does everybody else have good luck and not me? Why do other people get promotions and I don't? The other story about karma, which I like to say, was when I went to teach in the prison. And I've been teaching quite a while, and one of these old prisoners came up to me. He said, can I have a private interview with you? I said, yeah, okay. What's the problem? And he said, I've been put in prison for something I never did. I'm innocent. And he said, I know many prisoners will lie to you and say they're innocent, but I'm being honest. I respect you, Ajahn Brahm. I never did that crime, honestly. I've been put in prison for something I never did. And I thought, when you're in prison, you have very little opportunity to get a lawyer to right the wrongs. But I'm a monk, I know people. I can get some lawyers for free to find this injustice. And so I started thinking of who I can call, how I can help this poor man who's put in prison for something he didn't do. I was thinking that when he interrupted me. He said, I did not do the crime, honestly, Ajahn Brahm. But, he said, there were so many other robberies that I got away with where I wasn't caught. I guess this is fair. He told me the law of karma instead of the other way around. He was put in jail for something he never did. There's many things he did do where he wasn't caught. So it is fair. So the next time you think it's unfair because you were accused of something you didn't do, how many times have you done something wrong and you weren't caught? It's fair. So it's nice when we think like that. Somebody robs your house. That's really unfair, isn't it? Or is it fair? Is it just the balancing of the books? Maybe some time ago, maybe early on in your life, maybe you didn't pay your taxes, you cheated. And so you have to lose something because you took something away from the government. Or you took some paper or other things from the office. You stole too. And so this is balancing karma. Even if you can't remember it, there's a much better way of looking at it. Instead of getting angry, why did they steal from me? You say, well, maybe it's because even in the books, bad karma from the past, now I have to pay for it. It's much easier than doing that than getting angry. You don't know, but it's a very skillful means to let go of your anger. And when bad things happen, what are you doing about it? What good karma now are you doing with the fact that your house has been robbed? One thing to do is to say to the thief, you can take it. Take it. Because it reminds me of one of my favourite stories about karma and about good karma. In a Vihara, somewhere in the world, some years ago, the abbot, the chief monk, was woken up early in the morning. He heard somebody in the shrine room. First of all, he thought it was one of his monks, but then he thought, no, my monks don't get up so early. So he went to investigate. And in the shrine room, he saw a thief trying to open the donation box with a big knife. And the monk saw him, and the thief saw the monk. And the thief said, stay still, don't move, or I will knife you. The monk said, what do you want? I said, shut up! And the monk saw him next to the donation box. So the monk reached into his pocket. And the thief said, don't try anything. I mean it, I will kill you. And the monk, the head monk, pulled out some keys. Here are the keys to the donation box. Help yourself. Is this a trick? No, said the monk. These are donations. We use these donations to help people. We teach other people to be generous. Can't I be generous to you? So the thief took the keys, but he still pointed the knife at the monk, because he did not trust the monk. And the thief opened the donation box and put all the money into a bag. And the monk looked at this poor man and said, when was the last time you've eaten? None of your business! And the My mum said, in the cupboard above the donation box, there is some food left over from Dharma today. Help yourself. Is this a trick? No, help yourself. So the thief put all this food on top of the money in his big bag, and he went to run off. And don't call the police, or I'll kill you. And the Mum said, why should I call the police? You haven't stolen. I've given you the money. I've given you the food. Go in peace. And the thief ran off. The following morning, when the committee of the temple realized it had been robbed, they were very upset. Until the head monk came and said, he was a poor man. The thief came to the temple. He didn't steal. I gave him the money. I sit up on the seat and I teach other people to be generous. Can't we be generous as well? And the committee said, Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We're so proud to have a monk like that as our leader. Someone who's kind, who doesn't think for themselves, but thinks of others. We can get some more money later on. And they were so impressed. About a week later, the monk was reading in the newspaper that man had been caught robbing another house, was sentenced to 10 years in jail. About 10 years and a couple of days later, that monk, still the abbot of the monastery but was a bit older, was woken up in the middle of the night. Somebody was in the shrine room. He went up to investigate, and when he turned on the light, who did he see? That same thief. And the thief said, he had a knife as well. And the thief said, do you remember me? And the other said, yeah, I remember you. Here are the keys, help yourself. And then the thief put the knife down and smiled. He said, I've come to steal, but not the money nor the food. He said, every day for the last 10 years in my cell, I've been thinking of you. You are the only person ever to be kind to me. I've come here to steal again, but not the money. I've come to steal the secret of your kindness. Please make me a monk. He realized what he really wanted all along: kindness, peace. And now he came to steal the right thing from the temple. And that's a beautiful story. That's how bad karma from someone stealing from you. You turn that around and make something beautiful out of it. That is the law of karma. Whatever you're faced with in life, you have the opportunity to use the worst dog excrement and make it the most beautiful, delicious garden. So, law of karma is not fatalistic at all. It's not punishment. It's opportunities. You can make beautiful things out of the ugliest of experiences in life. So that gives you freedom, opportunities. Yeah, there is cause and effect, there's justice. All the justice is not punishing. It's all opportunities to learn and grow. And so we all have opportunities in our life to make good karma. It's not just giving donations in the box. That's too easy. It's not just giving robes or food to fat monks. It's forgiving people who have hurt you. That's a generosity. Someone has done something very bad to you, like that thief trying to steal from you. They try and steal your happiness. They can take your money. They can't take away your peace and happiness. They can take away your job. They can't take away your compassion and your ability to work hard. Please remember, that what bad karma really is, it's just opportunities. And if you're wise, you turn anything into something good. That is giving, forgiving, giving others the benefit of the doubt. Your husband may come home late from work. What do? You've got a business, haven't you? No, I had something extra to do at the office. Why are you so suspicious? Even if he smells of perfume, don't be suspicious. Give him the benefit of the doubt. It's much better to give people the benefit of the doubt than always to be so suspicious. To emphasize this, there was, a few years ago, in my temple in Perth, I made a confession. It was the time that many monks in Thailand were accused of having mistresses. And many of them were true. They had to disrobe. So in front of all my disciples, I made a confession. I said, several years ago, I spent some of the happiest moments in my life in the loving arms of another man's wife. We kissed. I loved her so much. She was married to another guy. And people thought, oh no, Ajahn Brahm. Not Ajahn Brahm. Please, not Ajahn Brahm. That's adultery. Kissing another man's wife. Hugging her. Being in love with another man's wife. That's true, I did that. That woman was my mother. I was in the loving arms of another man's wife, my father's wife, my mum. He kissed, I loved her so much. You see how we can be so suspicious? And we think, oh my goodness, that's adultery, you bad muck. But the truth is, quite honest, ordinary stuff. So don't be so suspicious and fault-finding. Always give people the benefit of the doubt. And someone has hurt you, give them the benefit of the doubt. They were in a bad mood that day. Maybe they had a big argument with their wife. Maybe their father died, that's why they're so angry at you. Give them the benefit of the doubt. It's so much easier to forgive and have a much more peaceful world. Even if it's not true, if they really did mean to hurt you, they're really a terrible person, doesn't matter, still give them the benefit of the doubt. That's called forgiving. And if you do that to other people, you can do it to yourself. Why did I do that stupid thing? Oh, come on, they say they're between a rock and a hard place. You're put in a very difficult position. You were not in a good mood, you were sick, you were tired, you made a mistake. Can't you give yourself the benefit of the doubt? Because when you judge yourself, it's like having a trial. If you judge yourself, you're usually so cruel. You have what we call a prosecutor. You don't have a defense attorney. So if you're going to judge yourself, please have a defense attorney. Get the very best defense attorneys. We'll get you off any charge. Give yourself the benefit of the doubt. And then it becomes so much easier to forgive what you think are wrongdoings. But when you forgive what you've done in the past, it doesn't mean you do it again. Because in Buddhism, the law of karma, justice, means whatever we do, we acknowledge it. We're honest, yes, I did that. No punishment, we forgive. And the next stage is we learn. So people say, why should we forgive anybody? They'll just do it again. Indeed, if it's just forgiveness, it's not enough. People need to learn from their mistakes. They grow from their mistakes. They learn never to do that one thing again. If you don't have forgiveness, if you have punishment, you don't even get to the first stage of acknowledging. Punishment, the fear of punishment, drives the truth underground. It's because we feel afraid of punishment, your children don't tell you what they've done. Because of fear of punishment, your husband won't be honest with you, he'll lie to you. And the woman will lie to her husband. It's why politicians lie. Because telling the truth is not in their interest, it's not in their benefit, because they'll be punished. All punishment is what drives the truth underground, and no one knows what went on. Imagine a world without punishment. So the politician can say, because I made a mistake, I took a bribe. Your husband said, I kissed my secretary. The wife said, I spent too much on the credit card. Your children said, I got into trouble at school. Wouldn't we be able to actually to do something about life if everyone was honest and told the truth? You can actually learn, why did you kiss the wife in the office, the secretary in the office? Why did you receive money? Is it because you're not paying politicians enough? Why did you steal? Is it because you're hungry, you need some more? When we don't fear punishment, we know the truth, then we can actually heal the problem. Acknowledge, forgive, and learn is a way of Buddhism, not punishment. So that's the same with karma. We acknowledge, we're truthful to life. We make mistakes. We all make mistakes. I told you one of the mistakes I made earlier on, during the funeral chanting at a wedding. I've done many mistakes like that. At a funeral service, I was doing a funeral service for one of the disciples in Perth. It was a Sri Lankan boy. He did tell me the name of the parent who had died. It's such a long Sri Lankan name. I couldn't remember it at all. You know, Sri Lankan names are really long. So, I just thought it was okay. His mum. So I went to the funeral, and I stood up and said, we're doing this Buddhist funeral service for the mother of my disciple sitting over there. And it's such a sad occasion, his mother has died. We come to celebrate her life. This old woman sitting in the front stood up. It's not me who's died, it's my husband, because of a wrong parent. That was one of the funniest funerals I ever did. I made a mistake, I got the wrong one, okay. We all make mistakes. So, you acknowledge your mistake, you forgive it, you learn next time. You don't need to tell me the name, it's your mum or your dad, I remember that much. So, I did some wrong bad karma. I forgot the name of the person who died. But I forgave him, I laughed at it, and I learned from it. That's the meaning of the law of karma. And that also means the karma which is going to send you to your next life. Why do you get reborn as a human being? Why do you get reborn as an animal? It's not just karma, there's two courses for your future life. One is your karma, the other one is where you want to be born. Your craving. Similar to, say you want to go visit me in Australia. The only way you will actually get to Australia, if you have two reasons. One, you want to go there, and number two, you've got enough money to get there. To pay for the airfares, and get the passport and everything. If you want to get there, and you've got not enough money, you won't get to Perth. If you've got enough money and you don't want to go there, you won't get to Perth. You need both of those. Craving and the wherewithal, the supporting conditions. That's exactly the same as where you get reborn. You have to want to get to that new birthplace, and you've got enough karma to get there. If you haven't got enough karma, and you want to be reborn someplace, sorry, you don't get there. If you've got plenty of karma, you don't want to be reborn there, again you don't get there. Which is what reason why one of my disciples in Perth once told me, he said, I want to be reborn as a dog. What? I want to be reborn as a dog, he said. Why on earth do you want to get your next life as a dog? He said, well, this is Australia. Dogs have a good life. They don't have to go to work. They don't have to have a boss. They can sleep as much as they like. And they get really good food. You know how people look after their dogs these days? They get free health care, they get exercise, and all they need to do The only work they do is every now and again to be patted and lick somebody. And then they get a wonderful life. So I don't like going to work. It's too much stress. I get too tired. I want to sleep around the house all day. So in my next life, I want to be a dog. Yeah, there's a good argument for that, isn't there? Dogs don't have to go to work. Dogs, they eat really well. Sometimes they eat human food. So, I told him, he said, yes, but have you considered, I said to this Australian man, that if you're born as a dog in Australia, after a few weeks of life, you are taken to the vet to get de-sexed. And he said, I don't want to be a dog anymore. So that was the end of his aspiration to be a dog. But he had lots of good karma. If I hadn't stopped him, he'd probably be reborn as a dog, because he wanted to. So this is one of the problems. It's not just karma, it's what you want. And sometimes I thought a long time ago, why would anybody be reborn, say, in the hell realm or in the lower realm? Because they want to. It's not just karma. It's because they want to be punished. There's something in human beings. When they make a mistake, they think they deserve to be punished. There's that wrong view, it is a wrong view, thinking that punishment is important for you, that sends people to even hell realms. No one sends you to hell. You decide you deserve to go there because of guilt. And that's not just even in the next life, even in this life. Someone does something cruel and nasty, and you feel so guilty about it. In this life, you can't be happy. You can't have a good relationship with someone you think you don't deserve happiness. You're sending yourself to hell right now because of this wrong view, thinking if you've done something wrong, you deserve to be punished. That has nothing to do with Buddhism at all. We don't do punishments in Buddhism. That's one of the great things when I looked at the monks' rule of discipline. There was no punishment in there at all. All you did, you made a mistake, confessed it, you were forgiven immediately, and you asked to learn from it so you don't have to do it again. The example was, this one young man, he was training to be a monk in one monastery. And you know, in a monastery you have to keep 8 precepts, one of which is not eating anything after noon until the dawn of the next day. This young Australian man, actually, he wasn't Australian, he was English. He was hungry one afternoon. So he snuck into the kitchen. No one was around. And he made himself a sandwich. And he ate it. He broke the 8 precepts. And he felt so guilty. He said he never slept the night before. And he came to me because I was the abbot, the boss monk, the chief, to confess. I'm so sorry. I did a terrible thing. I made a sandwich in the afternoon and I ate it. I'm so sorry. He was so guilty. And I said, look, well done. You've confessed to me. Because sometimes we feel a bit afraid to tell the truth when we've done something wrong. Well done, you confessed to me. Now I said, you don't need to be punished. But eat more in the morning, so you don't need to be so hungry in the afternoon. We have all these loopholes of things you can eat. You can have honey, you can have fruit juice, apple juice, you can have dark chocolate. In some monasteries, even cheese. There's so much you can eat, you don't need to make yourself a sandwich. He said, you can go now. He said, what? I can go? Are you going to give me a penance? A punishment? He said, no, we don't do punishments in Buddhism. And he looked at me and said, I need to be punished. If you don't punish me, I know my character, I'll do the same again. He put me on the spot. I needed to find an appropriate punishment for him so he wouldn't do the same thing again. What could I do? And it just so happened I was reading a history book about Australia. You know that the British, they sent all their convicts, their prisoners to Australia. And when they went to Australia, if they made any mistakes, they were whipped. They were with this special 9-thong whip called the cat of nine tails. It was a brutal punishment. I just read about it. So I said to him, if you want a punishment, I will give you a traditional Australian punishment. I will give you 50 strokes of the cat. And this man, his face went white. His jaw started to quiver. So much for stiff upper lip. He was really scared. He thought that he was going to get flogged. And then I explained to him what 50 strokes of the cat mean in a Buddhist monastery. We had 2 cats, find one and stroke it. 1, 2, 3. Learn some compassion. And that was his punishment. To stroke the cat so he could learn some kindness. So he didn't need to be punished when he made a mistake. Kindness, compassion is what forgives. And that is what stops you doing the same thing again. You're kind to yourself. So kindness is not punishment, it's kindness. When we learn that as a Buddhism, never again do we need to punish ourselves or punish others when they make mistakes. You make mistakes, I make mistakes, I learn from them. I don't punish myself. I'm compassionate and kind. So at the end of your life, when you think of all the bad things you've done, all the bad karma, you bad Buddhist, forgive it. Let it go, have kindness. Be compassionate to yourself. You don't need to punish yourself by sending yourself to a lower realm. You only go to a lower realm if you think you deserve it. It's not just karma, it's craving what you want. Probably that is even more powerful than your karma. And I said to you this morning, if you look at how the Buddha taught, you give a donation to a good temple, to a monk, you get that back 100,000, million times back. If you give like a mango to a Buddha, you get millions of mangoes in your other life. If you're bad, if you kick an arahat, then you get bad legs for thousands of lifetimes. It's not just one-on-one. Bad karma is multiplied 1,000-fold. Good karma multiplied by 1,000-fold. So that means you've got heaps of bad karma. Huge mountains of bad karma. Every one of you, including me. You also have huge mountains of good karma too. So I said this afternoon, this was concerning me. Why does bad karma mature and ripen? It's because you're caught up with bad karma. You think you need to be punished. You've got a fault-finding mind. You're negative. You're angry. You're blaming yourself or blaming others. That is why the bad karma comes. If you're kind, compassionate, forgiving, giving, then you're resonating, you're calling up the good karma. Now that's so important in life, because if at the end of your life, you're in a bad mood, you're negative, you are calling up bad karma from the past, and you're liable to get a bad rebirth. So keep the mind positive, kind, forgiving. What do I mean by that? 2 bad bricks in the wall story again. Don't look at the 2 bad bricks, your mistakes. Look at the 998 good bricks in your life. Don't focus on the faults. Focus on the beautiful stuff. So I mentioned to a person today, I only went through this quickly because I didn't have much time. How can you do that? So simple to do. Piece of paper, line down the centre, put your name on the top. On the left-hand side, write down all the bad things you've done in your life. It's really weird. It's very easy to fill the left-hand side of the paper with all the bad things, all your faults. You don't have to show it to anybody. It's your secret. Do it in the privacy of your bedroom or the toilet. I don't know where you need to hide out. Write down the centre all your bad things, all the mistakes you've done. Chanting the funeral, chanting the wedding, getting the wrong person at a funeral service, all the wrong things. You've done that. On the right-hand side, write all your good qualities, all the things you're proud of, all the times you were generous, you forgave someone, you looked after someone who was really sick, even though you were tired, you spent extra time with someone, listening to their problems, caring for them, all the beautiful things you've done in life. Fill the other half of the paper, and then cut it down the middle. All the bad things you've done, throw it in the trash can, throw it away. All your good qualities, keep that. When you die, get it out and look at it. All the beautiful things you've done in your life. Then you get an incredibly wonderful life. Because when you remind yourself of the good things you've done, you resonate like a radio signal. You resonate with the other good karma you've done. You bring up all that store of good karma, and you get a great rebirth. That's how the karma works. No one sends you to heaven, no one sends you to hell, only you do. Because of guilt, because of the inability to forgive, because you haven't learned compassion and kindness. So the next time you think you need to be punished for doing something wrong, find a cat and give yourself 50 strokes. A dog will do. You stroke the cat, you stroke the dog, and it's so nice and kind and soft. You learn compassion. Compassion is kindness, kindness is forgiveness. It's giving yourself the benefit of the doubt, which means that you're happy. It means you don't get into a lower level. 45 minutes has gone already. It's amazing how time flies when you're having fun. So, I promised I would answer questions now on karma. So, floor's open to you. Some questions on karma. Somebody actually asked me beforehand. My parents weren't keeping 5 precepts, my parents weren't all that good. How can I help them improve their karma? Sharing of merits actually works. So you do something good for your parents, and you think of them. If you think of someone you love, there's a connection there. Have you ever experienced, you may have a relation, say in London, has a car accident? Maybe your son or daughter, and mum and dad here in Perth, here in South they know something's wrong. How does that work? There was a story in the Melbourne Age when I was in Melbourne. There was a vet who was quite well known, and he was travelling from Melbourne City out into some country retreat for a weekend party with his friends. About a 2-hour journey. Halfway on the journey, driving in the car by himself, he was overcome with this great sadness. He started crying, and he had no idea why. It was so bad, he had to pull over and park. He couldn't see the road, the tears were flowing down, and he felt so sad. And it was just coming out of the blue. And when he got himself together, could drive again, he reached the country house where he was going to spend the weekend party, and only then he got the news that his dog had been hit by a car at home at the time he had his emotional breakdown. There's no way he could have known that. Dogs can't SMS. It was maybe 100 kilometers away, and as soon as his dog got killed, he had this big emotional breakdown. Because he loved that dog, and the dog loved him. We have connections. So if you do something very beautiful, very generous, very kind, when you think of your parents who are dead, they know it. It's the same as if somebody dies in New York. You know it if you're in close relation, if you love them. That connection there is how these memories are transferred. So you do something good, you think of your parents who are dead, somewhere wherever they are, they know that you're doing something good for them. They get a boost of happiness. They share in the power of the goodness which you perform. That's how it works. If they've already got people, or if they've already got so much good karma, they're in some heaven realm, then it doesn't work. If your parents are really, really good, and you share good karma with them, it's like sending $100 donation to Bill Gates. He doesn't appreciate it, he's already got too much money. He doesn't even notice it. It's a drop in the ocean to someone who's rich like that. So if you share good karma, to say that the chief, please the late chief, got a case with Ramananda, what a waste of time that is. He's got too much money, too much good karma, so he doesn't need it. And please send it to people who really need it. So now maybe your parents, if they're really good parents, you don't need to do that. They're already rich enough where they've gone. But if it's someone who isn't, then you send it to them. I'll just do, first of all, questions from the floor, first of all, before the questions on a piece of paper. Anyone who's brave enough to put their hand up gets precedence. Yes, thank you. Okay. What happens if you're in the business of selling or marketing intoxicants? Is that bad karma? It's not as bad karma as actually drinking it yourself, but it's not that good. So you are actually supporting that industry. But some people they work in like supermarkets. And the supermarket is not dedicated to alcohol. Alcohol is only a small part of that supermarket, or you may be in a restaurant which serves like wine. It's only a small part. People don't go into your restaurant to drink and get drunk. They go there to have a meal. So if that's the case, it's not that good. That's not that bad karma. If you're in a restaurant and the restaurant serves wine. Because people don't go in there to get drunk. But if it's in a bar or a nightclub, and you own a nightclub and you serve alcohol there, then people go there to get drunk sometimes. So that's not so good. So if you possibly can, see if you can lessen your involvement in the liquor industry. Unfortunately, it's very, very profitable. It doesn't matter the downturn in economies, some people still like to get drunk. I mentioned earlier, my grandfather in Liverpool, he got drunk every night and he beat his children, my father and his wife. When you get drunk, you do terrible, terrible things. Indeed, the London School of Economics, they did a survey of the most dangerous drug in the world. It's not heroin, it's not cocaine, it's not methamphetamine, it is alcohol. Causes more health damage and more economic damage than any other drug. Heroin is illegal, cocaine illegal, methamphetamine illegal, but alcohol is legal in many countries. It causes huge problems. If you can get out of that industry, wonderful. If you can't, lessen it. And if you are making some bad karma because you have to survive in your family, then there's another teaching of the Buddha. If you have got some bad karma, dilute it by making lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of good karma. Because the Buddha said, if you put a tablespoon of salt into a cup of water, then you can't drink the water, it's too salty. If you put the same amount of salt into a swimming pool, you can't taste the salt at all, it's diluted. So if you have some bad karma, because maybe your family business is involved in alcohol or something, please make lots and lots and lots and lots of good karma to dilute it. Because you can dilute bad karma. In fact, you make so much good karma, whatever bad karma you've done, you can't even taste it, like salt in a swimming pool. And by making good karma, I don't mean like giving thousands of dollars to the temple. Because the Buddha said, if you yourself keep 5 precepts, you don't drink alcohol, that is 1,000 times better karma than giving donations to temples. If you do acts of compassion and kindness, that's even better than keeping the precepts. And the best good karma of all is what you've been doing the last 2 days, meditating. Meditating is worth millions of dollars of donations to temples. But because you've been meditating, it doesn't mean you don't give donations. You give donations as well, we've got to live. But it means that this is really incredible good karma. What you've been doing here, learning how to be peaceful. So if you really are in the liquor industry or somehow involved, come and learn some meditation quickly. So you can dilute any bad karma. In the back. Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, if you have, like, in Chinese herbs, you have them in rice wine, is that drinking alcohol? You're not drinking it because of the alcohol, you're drinking it because of the medicinal properties, and so that's not a problem at all. But if you actually have the rice wine, with the herbs, you drink bottle after bottle after bottle, then that's bad. Because you're drinking it for the alcohol, not for the herbs. Yeah, it's only a little bit, so drink the minimum amount to be healthy. Yes?
Intentions create karma?
Intentions create karma. It's intentions are the foundation of karma. I didn't say, but why do you do things? That creates whether good karma or bad karma. If you do things by accident, you never meant it, it was just a mistake, no intention there, it's not karma at all. You have to mean it. If you fall over somebody and you kill them because you trip over them, you didn't mean it. There's no intention. That's no karma at all. You have to have intention, purposeful speech or purposeful actions. If it's good karma, it means you did it out of kindness, compassion. You really meant to help somebody. If you did it out of selfishness, anger, it comes from a bad place, then it's bad karma. So, to be karma, you have to be purposeful, intentional. Be good or bad karma, where were you coming from? Where are you being? Trying to be kind? Are you trying to be caring, but it all went wrong? If you're trying to be caring, sometimes, you try and help somebody. They're going to be falling into like a hole, and you push them out of the way. They hit their head and kill them. You're trying your very best, you're being kind. So that's always good karma, no matter what the outcome. That makes sense? So it's the quality, where you're coming from depends whether it's good or bad karma. Where it's going to, the intention, the purpose, and there's no purpose at all, you didn't really mean it, you were asleep or something, then it's no bad karma at all. There's an interesting case of a man who was a sleepwalker. Now when somebody had a sleepwalking, he was so well known as a sleepwalker, he was staying in a hotel with his wife, and he got out of his room, and he went into another room which was open, and went into bed with somebody else's wife. And the husband came in, he saw, "You're in bed with my wife." and he sort of tried to hurt him. And he accused him of some adultery. And when he went to court, he was actually proved he was actually a sleepwalker. He didn't really mean to do it. So there's no intention there at all. So if there's no intention there at all, it's not karma at all, no matter what you do. That's why if you're mad and crazy and you kill somebody, you really are insane. There's no karma at all.
What if it's just thoughts and not actions?
If there are thoughts and not actions, it still has a karmic result, but a very small one. Because what happens if you keep thinking like that, you soon act it out. If you keep thinking, I hate that man, he'd be really mean to me. You have all these plans on how to poison him, or how to kill him, because you hate him. But one day, you might actually do that. Because you've been thinking it, the thoughts eventually become your actions. So be careful. Yes, let's go on the back and then back. Group karma. There isn't so much a thing as group karma, but there are such things as like a group of men fighting in an army. They all go into a village with guns blazing and they kill all the villagers. It's individual karma, but they do it together. So such people, they probably get the results together, maybe in a bus which goes over a cliff, or they get blown up in an aircraft explosion. It's individual karma, but it's all done together, so the result sometimes comes together. So the fellow gentleman front.
What about those terrorists during the war is it possible they don't have any task?
So can you say that again? I didn't quite catch it.
What about those terrorists?
Terrorists?
Kill and kill people. Is it possible they don't have any
Oh. Now the terrorists, they're coming with bad karma to try and kill somebody. It's very hard for a terrorist to act out of compassion and kindness. So it is bad intentions, but they think that the outcome is for the betterment of humanity. It is the mood, the mind state to kill somebody is always very bad. So the terrorists, they blow up people, they kill them, they cut off people's heads. Someone asked me, what happened to those terrorists who cut off people's heads on YouTube? I said, they'll probably be reborn as chickens who get their heads cut off many times. That makes sense to you? Yes? Yes. Yeah, sometimes it is being, it's not always karma. Sometimes it's being in the wrong place at the wrong time. The Buddha said this, sometimes it's just accidents, it's part of life. For example, this one man went to see my teacher, Ajahn Brahm. He'd been drafted into the Thai army. And there wasn't any conflicts which people knew about. But there were always skirmishes on the borders between Burma, Laos, Cambodia. There were skirmishes there. And this man, he was shot, badly injured. So he came to see Ajahn Brahm and he said, why me? Why was I injured while other soldiers were? What was the karmic cause of my injury? And Ajahn Brahm said, the karmic reason why you were shot at was because you were a soldier. That's what happens to soldiers. You fire bullets at others, others will fire bullets at you, and some of you will get injured. It's a karmic cause of joining the army. Some of you will get injured. So it's a karmic cause of going on an aircraft. Some of the aircraft will have problems, will crash. That's part of the aviation history. So you should always look at the fine print before you go traveling. They say, when you go on an aircraft, there's a chance that your aircraft will be a one-way ticket. So this is what we mean by accidents. When you join the human race, you should read the contract before you get born. And the contract says at the bottom, you can die at any time for any reason. Most of you will live to a ripe old age, but some of you will be dying young. car accidents, heart attacks, plane crashes, tsunamis, earthquakes. That's part of being a human being. That's the karma of being a human being. You can die at any time, any place. Are you ready? Are you prepared? There may be a meteor coming directly to Kuala Lumpur from outer space. It's coming in 5 minutes' time. This might be your last chance to make a donation. But Ajahn Brahm, you can't use it because you're going to die as well. Yeah, fair enough. So that's the karma of being born. Any other questions? Okay, I'll read out the questions. I'll read out the questions. Okay, hand up and then ask big questions. It's the lady in the white. Without harming them. So, you try to find the holes where they come in and block the holes. You put mosquito wire over your windows. You don't leave the doors open. So you go to extra lengths to make sure your house has got no entry places for mice, for rats, and all these other bugs which can come into your house and harm you. But if you've done all of that and you can't do anything else, then maybe you might have to. We do it out of compassion. If you catch those mice, we have mice in our kitchen, in our temple. So we have Buddhist mouse traps. They go in there. They're very smart mouse traps. They don't kill the mouse. They go in the mouse trap, and then when we catch it, we have to let it go somewhere. So there's actually a prison about 6 kilometers up from our monastery. So we release it in the prison because we think that mouse has stolen food from the monastery. It's good karma, they go to a prison. Yes, go on.
I don't know whether what somebody said article says you want to get rid of bad, use black pepper.
Black pepper, find out, go on the internet. And then there's lots of people that are trying their very best. Most people don't want to kill the animals and the rats. So find out on the internet what works, what doesn't work. And there's enough Buddhists around in Malaysia that, find out with Buddhists what works for rats, what keeps them away. But don't be like this person, instant karma. If you try and kill a rat, there was a story in the newspapers, this man in the United States had a rat in his house, caught it, but it was still alive. Caught it in the trap. wondered, what should I do with this rat? And he had a bonfire in his garden, burning leaves and twigs which fell in his garden. And he threw this rat alive on the burning bonfire. It's really cruel. And the karmic result of that was the rat, burning in pain, ran out of the bonfire, in through an open window of the house, and his burning fur brushed a curtain, set the curtain on light, and the whole house burned down. And this man lost his house because of the bad karma trying to throw a mouse or a rat onto a burning fire alive. And even the report said, the fire officer said, this is karma. And they tortured the mouse and he lost his home. So be careful, don't do that. I'll do a couple of questions from here first of all. But it is now 8:10. If anyone needs to leave because we've gone over time, you will not offend me. It's not bad karma if you need to go because I'll go over time. I have severe major depression since 2001, 13 years ago, on antidepressants, psychiatric care. Still having many relapses. Such relapses making me weak and the attack comes faster. Please advise any help in Buddha or spiritual way to help. I want to recover. Please do meditation. Seriously, the British National Health Service found that meditation is the most effective way to stop depression recurring. I can't go into more detail because I'm late, but try meditation. Having to develop an effective slimming pill that helps many was, to the scientists, a great achievement and karma, but the unknown side effect from the slimming pill only appears that it affects 5% of the users. To Buddhism, something theoretically speaking, does this scientist have an active karma, or positive karma or negative karma? Look, as long as the people who sell those pills make it quite clear what the side effects are for 5% of the people, they're open and clear so people make informed decisions. There's no bad karma there. But when you try and hide the side effects because you want to sell the medication and make a lot of money, that's bad karma. So be honest and upfront, and then it's okay. MH70 and MH370 incidents happening to Malaysia. Is this, of course, a karma effect related to the country's well-being? No, sometimes again it's just bad luck. Especially MH17, which was shot down over Ukraine. There was a Singapore airline flight just flying right behind. It was just bad luck that they targeted the Malaysians. It was bad karma for those Russians who actually shot it down. And so the MH370, no one knows what happened to that. You know my theory, what happened to MH370? My theory is this, because no one has found it yet. There's only one man alive today who can make an aircraft disappear. David Copperfield. That's my theory. As certain Buddhist leader has claimed he is the greatest Buddhist under 2 prime ministers in Malaysia, if his quote is repeated, does one share the karma of aloofness of this Buddhist leader? No monk is the greatest. They are the most humble, the most modest. So you don't say you're the greatest Buddha, the greatest leader. Now, probably other people misquote that monk. Because no one says they're the greatest, they're just an ordinary monk, that's all. Because I am a very popular, famous monk. Well, look at me. There's my robes made of silk. Do I have, again, stripes on my robe? Do I have a medal on here? The greatest leader monk? No, monks are modest, so people don't really know who is a good monk and who is a bad monk, because all the monks are the same. What is the best way to help someone who is suffering from a terminal illness? I had a friend who died of cancer recently prior to his death, and I tried teaching him to do better, but I'm not sure if that has helped him because he was bedridden and could not speak. Probably did help him. Even if he could not speak, he can listen. Again, so I mentioned today, get him to remember all the good things so he can resonate with the good karma and take the good karma with him. My grandmother is 94 years old. She's a very bad-tempered person, always angry and grumpy. Taking care of her is extremely stressful because no one can stand her behaviour. Is this a symptom of dementia, depression? How can we help someone like that? It really takes tremendous patience. We are at a loss. She is old. It's her sickness. It is her old age speaking. It's not her. So that when she says wrong things, she says that's the sickness speaking. It's not the grandma. When the sickness abates, just before she dies, she'll probably go back to her old self. What is the right way to practice metta meditation? Can it lead to 10 jhanas? It can lead to jhanas. Metta meditation is the same as I've been teaching. What's in front of you is the most important thing. Be careful and give it loving kindness. Then it leads to jhanas is the same as everything. What is the best cure for depression? It is meditation. And then you never get depressed. Just like Ajahn Brahm, did he get depressed? The other way, if you get depressed, 20 push-ups in front of the mirror. I've already mentioned that. If that doesn't work, follow this technique. So follow what I'm doing. Put your hands in front of yourself. If you have depression, follow what I'm doing. Bring your hands in. Hands in. If no one else will give you a hug because you've got Ebola or some other deadly disease, hug yourself. You can't catch what you've already got. You've already got it. So it's perfectly healthy. If no one else can give you a hug yourself. And that means depression is gone. You're happy. Okay, 8:15. Thank you for listening. You are an extra 15 minutes this evening, but no extra charge. Okay, so